Hi guys, and welcome back to Christian Casts, where I go fishing so you don't have to. Today we are actually in my office, the learning room, and I'm gonna just show you because somebody actually asked how I produce my lures and more from the beginning to the end and not just focusing on the airbrushing. So today I'm gonna show you my first steps and we'll right away get into it, and then I'll finish the lure, take it, go into the workshop, make a very short bait build as well. And as you might hear, the 3D printer is running because I'm printing a new bait that we're going to look at today. And I made some prototypes already to see how it swims, but we'll get into that straight away. So I'll get you guys focused onto the monitor and I'll first show you how I draw up my baits and everything, so see you soon. Well, my first step is actually always making a rough design of the bait on a piece of paper where I can actually imagine the size of the bait. So I actually thought maybe making a small bait, but I then thought, nah, I'm gonna go with a bait that is about this size. We can easily put in a weighting chamber for putting in some lead right there. We can put on 2 hook hangers and also our main hanger right there. The eyes are always up around 10 millimeters of diameter. I actually draw them then on the program with 11 that I've got 0.5 millimeter on both sides for setting the eye properly. It usually works quite well because if you print it with the 10 through the 3D print, you sometimes have a little bit of a very tight snug. Then I often think about what I'm going to do for a lip, if I want to go angular or circular, and how big the lip should be for the bait. So I actually this time decided to make the lip as big as the eye, and now I'll swivel you over to my computer screen and show you the whole design process step for step, and we're going to put it into the slicing software and I'll show you then how the bait builds up, and then we'll head over to the workshop, so keep tuned. So we are looking at the rough bait right now. I'm just going to go through the first steps that I always do, and that is actually sketch number 1. Sketch number 1, I just make a very rough cube form where I define how broad the bait should be and how long it should be, and then I actually just extrude the main cube. And it's, if I think of working with wood or actually making a bait on a other way with a 3D printer, you always start with a square part of wood. Then the second sketch I always do is this outer sketch where I outline the entire bait and make its rough form, and then I put out a square because then I can extrude this outer layer and it takes away everything that we are left with this body right here. So I'll blend out the 2 first sketches. So then we are left with this body without the chamfer, because the next step is actually rounding the edges. So I round off the edges that we get a aerodynamic lure look, I would say. That can be quite tricky sometimes because not all edges are able to be rounded, but if you're interested in that, I can make a own video on how I define where I start rounding the edges. The next sketch that I actually did was this one, where I tapered down the lure a little bit with this form. So I actually drawed out a little bit of a taper because I didn't want it to be too square. So we did that next. So I'll outblend that one as well. Then if we're looking at the fourth sketch, it is the eye. Not a lot to say about that sketch. It's quite just usual, so we'll blend that one out as well. Then sketch 5 is the second eye. Then I actually always add a plane along this curve. So I select plane, and then there's an option where you can actually make a plane along a curve. So we flew away, so there we are. So I actually make it along this curve right here and set it at an angle that I think would work well, and draw a square where we can place our lip. That is pretty much also not too hard. That's the sketch for the lip. Then extrude that out, make a pocket. So also nothing special, I would say. And then I always place a hole for adding some lead, that we have some stability in the bait. Always helps with the action. And then I actually add one plane that is out of center of the bait, where I always draw up how thick the bait is, how thick I want the walls to be, and then I subtract those and see how much of a air pocket we can actually design in there. And in this bait I have deleted the air pocket because I wanted to show you guys how I actually do it. So I go into the sketch mode, I place the bait where I want to be, and then I actually take the spline option and I go along the bait just like that, always watching that I am further away from the tail here, because we know there's a screw going to be here and there's a screw going to be right over there. So I actually try to keep those with some full material, and then we just place it like that. Then we've got our outline for the air pocket. I always try to make it as big as possible, that we have a upright swimming bait straight away before we add the lead. So I'll go up here, because we see right here these dots actually symbolize our air pocket, our lead pocket, so we don't want to get into there. And then I just round off the edges, pull him down still a little bit, because that's one thing I really enjoy with the 3D printer. You can really create these pockets very freely. Then I exit the sketch, blend out our first body, take our air pocket, and through all the thinking that I already have made, how thick I want the walls to be, I want it to be symmetrical and everything, I know that I want an air pocket of 4 millimeters in this bait, and then I can extrude that. So now we've got our air pocket design right there. Now I can blend in our body again, and we see, okay, that is now right there. I can then use the command under tools. I can go and say subtract, and I would like to subtract body 1, I want to keep, and I want to subtract body number 3. And then you can see I've got a minus by my third body that I've got in here, and I can actually then say subtract. That should be done. Then we have got our bait pretty much finished, and I will straight away share it. I go on share, say export, export the project, export as STL, and I can say, give it the name. Include hidden items is important for the air pocket that we designed, and I say next, and I can save it. So I have saved this bait already, and I'll show you guys how we put it into the 3D software, and our print is nearly finished, so I'll show you guys that as well, and I'll see you soon. We see it is in right now. I don't like to print it when it's this orientation because I find that the bottom of this bait then often turns out quite rough, so I twist it usually 90 degrees, but I noticed with printing this bait we actually get some quite rough edges. Wait, if it focuses, right at the top there. So we are going to print it at an angle of 310 degrees, and we're going to use it just like that. With the strength of the bait, I am using 2 wall loops. I'm often put it up to 5 because I like to have a bit more for actually mounting the screws, that they've got a bit of material to hold on to, so we'll make that a bit higher. And then I put the infill density up to 60-75 around. Due to this bait being so thin, that doesn't really play a lot of, it hasn't got a lot of importance because we are going to work with the wall loops mainly. The 3D print is finished. I also use a tree support only inside, only on the build plate, so I don't want a tree support in the bait itself. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a moment because I've got 2 baits with 2 different support theories, and you can actually see it. I'll light it through with a torch and you can see the support inside of the bait. So once we've got it this far, I can say slice the plate. We see there is some support going into the lip, and right at the bottom I've actually got a brim set that the bait is printable, and we will look if the air pocket is in and everything works. So we actually see, okay, we have got the air pocket right there, which is good. We have got our hole where the lead goes. We don't have any leakage right there. We've got the eye. That should all work quite well. And then we have got the first print layer. So when it is this far, I can actually send it to the printer and make my first prototype. So that is pretty much the whole design. Well, all that goes into the design of making my baits. If you're interested in the different models, if it's a split bait, I have to split both halves first because I actually draw the bait as one. But I can show you guys that in a different video if you're interested, and we'll now just see that we finished this, and I'll show you the support and our 3D print that just finished. and so keep tuned. Well, we are back, and as you guys can see, we have got a finished bait on the build plate. I've got all my prototypes of the other baits that I made. I always print them. I like printing the baits prototypes clear because I tend to see the air pocket a lot better. I can weight them differently, and then it turns out to be one of these. You know it out of a video. If you don't know it out of a video, I'll maybe pop it here, or I think it's right over here, and you guys can go there and check it out. So that is that. I can then take it off the build plate, clean off the rough edges, and we have got a bait right like this. There's still some sanding to do, clean off all the surfaces, sealing that you all know anyway. So now I'll just quickly show you still before we head over to the workshop, and I'll do the sanding and everything, what I mean with having infill inside of the bait. If you can actually, I don't know if the camera picks up of it that well. Normally you can see there's the air pocket in here, and there's a little structure that is in, because it actually builds a little bit. I'll show this one as well. It builds a little bit of a tree support inside of the bait as well, and we don't want that because we want as much air and as little as possible material in that air pocket for the action. So you have to actually click on that, and you don't want it to somehow, because it's mostly not symmetrical as well, so it can actually really damage the effect of the bait. So it's always good to switch that off. And as you hear, I started another print because I just saw that the nose of our print right here is not too good, so maybe the angle wasn't right, so I'm going to try and print it again at the 90 degrees, and I'll show you guys how it looks once we go over and are in the workshop and start the sanding and bait building process. So we are back in the workshop. We're not going to be doing a brown chart today. I have already sanded the bait and made sure our lip that we printed fits in. So we're going to glue that. I thought I won't take you with on the sanding process. The bait looked like that, and now is nice and clean. So we'll keep that one for another paint scheme. We're going to rush through this paint scheme today. I'm just going to take you with. I'm going to try something new. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but stick around to see it. If you're interested, I sand with the sanding blocks, one fine and one ultra fine. So I'll get you guys set up and we'll start airbrushing. I'll just glue in the lip quickly and then I'll get you guys back. First step, I took some of my lead and I'm gonna open up the UV resin and just close up this well and truly. Try and also get it down into the hole, that all the bubbles are out. There we go. Got all those out. Now we're gonna fill this up still a little bit, that we just see that it closes it up quite well. If you look there, not too much standing out, because we'll sand that down then anyway. And then I'll harden this and get you guys back. I closed up the hole, sanded it down a bit, straight away marked the holes for our hardware and pre-drilled them. Now just making sure they are clear. Perfect. take our screwlets and place them. Before we go over to sealing the bait, so make sure they're straight, because once there's glue on, they actually tend to stick there where they are. There we go. This one is often the hardest because you always have to set it in skew, and let's give it one more twist. There we go. So we have got our hardware installed. I will now seal the bait with super glue. I'll just add a coat of that, sand it again, and I'll get you guys back for the airbrushing. So as you guys can see, if it focuses, we are right there where we left off. I sanded it off again, that it is nice and smooth. Today we'll be actually doing something different. As I said, I'm not too sure what it's going to turn out to be. I'm going to use bronze for the scales. I'm going to do a ground color of silver, go over the back and side with some brown, I would call it, cover up the back side of the lure with some olive green, make some black accents and some blue accents, and then we'll do the scales. So we'll be jumping over the airbrushing process today, because we actually were here to show you more of how I build my blanks. If you're interested in this paint scheme, I'll get you guys back for the outro and show you how it looks, and maybe we'll still get to go and test how it runs, because it depends on the water levels. Otherwise I'll just show you in my basin at home how it floats, because I haven't got a tank yet, but I'm pretty sure the action of this bait is going to be quite good. So we'll see that, and I'll get you guys back once I've done the airbrushing, clear coating and everything. If you're interested in the whole build process, maybe leave a comment. I'll maybe split the videos that I do a first design and rough up that I've got our blank, and then a separate airbrush video. I would be interested. I don't want to make the videos too long. That's why we're going to be jumping over this process today and focusing mainly on how we got to the blank. So if you're interested in something like that, please drop it down in the comments. I'm really always out to make content that you guys enjoy, so I'm interested in what you think. So let's get airbrushing this, and I'll get you guys back as soon as I'm done. So I am finished with the airbrushing process. I really enjoyed it. It was quite a cool bait to try. I struggled a bit with the clear coat today. I had to redo it once, but because I touched it before it was hardened out. But I'm really happy with how this bait turned out. I used some really interesting eyes, I would say. They are quite cool, very bright. They mix with the color scheme a little bit. I just wanted to tell you guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in this paint scheme, as I said in the video, I would like to have some comments that maybe tell me, yeah, I would actually like to see more about the painting, or I'm interested in the building part, because I always like to watch painting videos, because I get new ideas, new paint schemes, and I just thought that the whole process of building isn't the main focus, because some people actually just buy blanks and want to airbrush their lures. And I actually try to do the whole process, but I can't pack everything into one video. So if you would also be interested in like a two-part video where I first do the design and then do the airbrushing, just let me know. I'm always glad to hear from my followers and everybody who's interested in bait building. So I wish you a good one. Just take a look at how cool this bait turned out. I really like it quite a lot. And I might make a YouTube reel to its action because I don't have a tank yet. I actually am thinking about making something, but that will be a surprise. And the water at the moment isn't clear, so you couldn't see the action. So sadly, I can't make it part of this video. I'll try and make a short towards it that you know how the action is of this bait and how it performs. So I wish you a good one, and we'll see each other for the next video. Cheers.